From the time I was 22, when I obtained the restraining order against my father, a childhood's worth of emotion came flooding out of me. These emotions came out, and but someone's coming this way. I think I'll stop recording. Hey, so my name is Michelle. I'm 32 years old, and I want to recount to you the story of my battle with chronic hives, the diagnosis being mast cell activation syndrome. I have had this autoimmune disease since I was 16 years old, and this is my journey of healing from sickness to health. This is part 2 of a series of me recounting my journey with hives and subsequent healing, which is a journey that I'm still on. I'm still pursuing healing, and it will be a lifelong journey. If you haven't already watched part 1, I'll link it below, and please watch. In part 2 of this series, I'm recounting my life during college between the years of 2011 and 2015, and my life post-college 2016 and 2017. So I entered college in 2011. So my best friends at the time, Allison and Sarah, who are still my best friends, actually, I didn't need to tell them that I had hives. They saw it. They witnessed it. I lived with both of them at different times. And they both came from families, from communities where if you have a health condition, you go see a doctor, you pursue healing. So being encouraged by my friends, I did see specialists during my college years. I did feel some semblance of hopelessness whenever I saw a specialist because my tests would still come back normal, and I was out of a few $100s every time I saw a specialist, and I was paying for these visits out of pocket, oftentimes. But anyway, between 2011 and 2016, 2017, anytime I had hives, I would just triple, quadruple my antihistamine dosage, and more often than not during that time, that worked. After I graduated, around 2016, I ended up in the emergency room for the first time with full body chronic hives, and I was given epinephrine, emergency adrenaline, and prednisone, the steroid. So the inflammation was absolutely terrible, and I was so grateful to be given prednisone. It was my first encounter. This is my first encounter with that steroid, and the relief was immediate. Within a few hours, the hives had dissipated, and all that I could think of was, I want more of this drug. I want to have it in my own medicine cabinet. I want to be able to treat myself with this drug whenever necessary. I don't want to spend $150 going to the ER. I want to be able to treat myself. And prednisone is it's a steroid. It's should not be used for long-term use. It causes bone loss and osteoporosis if you are on it long term. It suppresses the immune system. It's not meant to be relied upon. But for those of us with autoimmune diseases who need to suppress the immune system in order to live our lives, those of us with lupus, arthritis, many other autoimmune diseases, including mast cell activation syndrome, it has been a very helpful drug. And I felt like it was a magic drug. So when I first took prednisone, I was given a taper. I think I took 80 mgs, and then the next day 60 mgs, and then 40 mgs, something like this. And at the end of the taper, the hives didn't come back. So this was the first time I took prednisone. And so I was feeling like, okay, this is something I can do when the hives come. maybe every 6 months, maybe every year. I was hoping at that point, I would maybe see hives every 6 months or every year or so, and that's kind of, the way it was going at that point. The hives, weren't an everyday occurrence for me. They would come, stay for a few weeks, and go, and that's how it was 2011 to 2016, 2017. The hives came and went seemingly without reason. They would come when I was feeling good, they would come when I was feeling bad, but I did notice during times of intense emotional pain or grieving, the hives would come with a full intensity. My mother, my siblings, and I obtained a restraining order against my abuser, my father, on May 1st, 2015. And we shifted from living with abuse to living with post-traumatic stress. When we were living with the abuse, our emotions, my emotions, were suppressed. I couldn't express them. My sister and I suffered from very similar abuse, and while she now lives with suicidal ideation and chronic depression, I live with chronic hives. As I talked about in part one, when my Ayurvedic doctor asked me what happened to you when you were 16, I I felt like I couldn't answer that question because there wasn't a specific moment of abuse or a specific occurrence that happened when I was 16 that I could recount to her. The abuse had been uh, forever. I'd always remembered it. So I didn't know how to answer that question. It's gonna rain soon. And I also felt like I had a lot of talk therapy, between 2014 and 2017. My family had a court-mandated family therapist. During those years, 2015, 2016, 2017, we were speaking openly about what had happened to us to anyone who would listen, and a childhood worth of emotions came flooding out. I was 22 when I obtained a restraining order against my father, and I was grieving a childhood lost. And while it was wonderful to be able to speak openly about everything that happened with my siblings, with my mother, with my friends, with my doctor, with everyone, there was just so much emotion and so much grieving and so much anger. And uh, especially in our household, all came out and with full fury at each other. There were yelling fights, screaming fights. I remember I felt like I couldn't contain my emotions. And I began to recognize that this impacted my inflammation. I would be scream crying and feeling the hives developing on my face, around my neck, on my shoulders. And I remember thinking, why can't I have emotions without hives? Why must the hives come too? Simultaneously, between 2016 and 2017, there were times when I felt like there was, no problems, and I still would have hives. So it was hard for me to pinpoint, like, okay, what is causing the hives? And because, I'm working and living life, I didn't find answers at that time. During this time, I did start seeing specialists again, I was working full time. So I saw a dermatologist, I saw an allergist, I saw an immunologist, I saw a naturopath. I paid for the private specialist out of pocket, and again, my labs came back normal. I was frustrated. I began hoarding prednisone. So this is part two, and part three will recount from 2018 through 2021, let's say.